Socialists have a big problem. Even though they know about as much about economics as Elizabeth Warren, even the most deluded among them recognize that at least on some level, that innovation and creativity are key to a healthy, vibrant society. Since the stifling business environment socialists would impose by force is antithetical to innovation, they've come up with some real whoppers to explain how, in addition to being a workers' paradise, a socialist society would also be a hotbed of creative energy. Wow. As with most things socialist, they are big on anti-capitalist hate and light on practical details. We get some good insight as to why they are so reluctant to provide details from this paper from the University of Massachusetts. They enlighten us on a concept they call democratic, planned, participatory socialism, which sounds very inclusive, doesn't it? But now, kudos for a few things, accepting that capitalism, quote, does produce a certain type of rapid technological change. They say that's mentioned here, although not, of course, the right kind of change. They also say there was a serious incentive problem in the Soviet Union. You think? Anyway, these folks have figured out exactly how to absolutely ensure innovation. In essence, and I kid you not, they will innovate by committee. The following passage is a bit long, but bear with me. It encapsulates the author's understanding of the roots of innovation quite well. If the populace wants innovation, they would have to build into the system significant incentives for those who are in a position to carry it out. Enterprise managers, along with everyone else who participates in any of the stages of innovation, should be eligible for rewards for successful innovation. It's not sufficient to assume that decision makers will automatically innovate. It must be communicated to them in a reward system that society values innovation. Such rewards would be needed regardless of the mix of material versus moral incentives. Pay incentives need not be huge to elicit innovative behavior, as long as they are large enough to bring a noticeable consumption benefit to the innovator. It's hard to describe the level of disconnection from reality presented here. Of course, money and morality can factor into an entrepreneur's decision-making process, although few of them, and none of the good ones, would devote their full creative energy to an undertaking in return for only those pay incentives deemed large enough by the collective. But the authors completely miss the main reason that people innovate, because they have absolutely no understanding of what freedom truly means. I owned a company in my youth, and I put the energy required into the endeavor to ensure its success, partially based on money, but also based on creating something that was mine. The decisions were mine, the focus was mine, the direction was mine, and yes, the rewards were mine. There is no way I would have done these things for societal rewards or compensation capped by committee vote. Nor would any entrepreneur I have ever met. The entire statement above is so laughably disconnected to anything approaching reality that it could have been written by a third grader. Not to worry, the authors have a foolproof plan for getting around this little glitch. Occasionally, I'll get comments from socialists who feel, they're big on that, who feel that I editorialize too much in favor of capitalism. So I'm going to read elements of this foolproof plan without editorial input, at least without verbal editorial input. It really does pretty much tell its own story. Step number 1, the citizens of a DPPS society could solve this problem by establishing an innovation facilitation board dedicated to the promotion of innovation throughout the economy. The IFB would be given substantial financing from the Central Treasury. It would take applications from enterprises, informal groups, or individuals, I wonder why they put that one last, who wanted to work on inventing a new product or process, or to engage in the development stage of an innovation. It would be able to make grants covering a long enough time period to provide a chance of success. However, the decision to implement an innovation should have to pass the test of the system's core processes of evaluation by and compromise among all affected constituencies. This calls for a second institution, an Innovation Approval Board, IAB, which would be constituted in the usual way with representation of all relevant interests. Its role would be to determine whether a proposed new product or process, which emerged from the grant of the IFB, should be given the green light for production or introduction. A remaining problem is the possible need to allow existing enterprises to enter a new line of production or to permit the founding of a new enterprise in order to implement a major innovation. This might encounter resistance from existing interests. No. To avoid this problem, once the IAB has given its approval, the innovators should have the right to request permission to start a new enterprise or enlist an existing enterprise to move outside its previous line of work in order to implement an innovation. A decision to grant such a request might require a joint meeting of the IFB and the IAB. Oh, cover your ears, kids. Holy shit! It's like a class of kindergartners coming up with a plan to invent the first airplane. Actually, I take that back. I think we all know from an early age, even earlier than this, that inventions are made by inventors, not by committee. It's not until we reach our teens that we become sophisticated enough for this level of self-delusion. Again, kudos to the authors for having the guts to put this all down on paper. It's been very, very, very enlightening.